Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. My name is Jessica Hitt, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about last year's Oscars, and we are going to be reviewing the Oscar-nominated film Hidden Figures, which was a surprise hit last year this time. And just so you guys know, these next couple weeks leading up to the 2018 Oscars, I will be talking about this year's Oscar nominations, as well as last year's, because almost everything that was nominated last year is on a streaming service this year, so I get to kind of catch up considering I don't think I saw one of those movies. When Hidden Figures came out, it came out technically wide release in January, had that, of course, limited push in December, so that way it could have an Oscar qualifying run in 2016, and then it was nominated for 2017 Oscars, and that was also a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. I think it was definitely in the running, but it was one of those that was kind of on the outliers. And also, with getting the Best Picture, they got a couple of Best Actress nominations, I believe. I want to say Octavia Spencer was nominated, and I don't think that Taraji P. Henson was, but she should have been. This movie was also a big hit in January with like the regular audience, and it's a movie that I think kind of everyone can go see and enjoy. It's got a lot of great commercial value to it, and it's something that I wanted to see, but I didn't get a chance to see it in January or February of last year, and I didn't do limited release times. And so when I saw this popped up on HBO, I was very excited, clicked on it pretty fast, and I really enjoyed this movie. I was like emotionally distraught. Yes, I watched it after Logan, which I was already crying, and then went into this and started crying too at certain points. This is also a feel-good movie. Like, you have these three women who are so awesome. And you know what? I'm so glad I finally got to see this film. I really, really love this film. Even though it's definitely more commercial than what the Oscars tend to go for, because they like to get those either indie hits or every once in a while like to splash in some commercialism. Usually that's in the animated category with Disney and Pixar stuff. But I do think that this film hits a great target audience, and it really, honestly, I feel like this movie really hits the four quadrants. I think young people will enjoy this. I think older people will enjoy this. It's got history involved with it, with going up in space, and it also is a history that's really clouded, and not a lot of people realize that these women had such an impact in that time there, and very directly to going to space for the first time. And the fact that these three women were able to accomplish what they accomplished at this time, being in that era of where black women were not regarded whatsoever, and they were just, it kind of disgusts me those times, like really, really irks me. And I'm not gonna lie, I like a good movie that sticks it to the white people who are so terrible for so long. First, we're gonna talk about Taraji P. Henson as Katherine Johnson, who is kind of, out of the three, the lead, I would say. We open up with her as a kid talking about how she is basically a genius, and she's great with numbers. She gets into this sort of computer program to where there's a whole bunch of women separated white and black, of course, because it's that time and people hated black people. Anyway, they were called computers, and they did all of the math stuff. I obviously would not be one of them. And Taraji P. Henson is great in this movie. She is just like so polite at first, and she understands her role in society, and she's learned not to speak up, unfortunately, and she kind of, as the movie goes, gets way more of a backbone, and she's willing to like take risks and do these things. And also what really starts that is these great montages of her having to go, like half a mile or something like that, or like a few miles away to get to a colored bathroom instead of being able to use the bathroom down the hall that the white women get to use. And it's her taking her stuff going, and then you have the guy who is whatever his name is, Kevin Costner is who that guy is, and he's always noticing when she's gone until he finally confronts her and like, why are you never here? And she goes on this great rant about how she has to walk or run miles just to use the restroom. And it's so heartbreaking, and that's probably the first time I cry in this movie, to be honest. And then from there, you really see her step up, but you see her realize she can do this job and she can do it better than anybody else, and she's getting all of this stuff done, and she's willing to put her name on these papers, even though she's just the computer, and she's sticking up for herself. And it's such this great, uplifting story. She does also have this subplot of falling in love again with Mahershala Ali, and I think that's probably my least favorite part of the whole movie. I don't think it's necessarily needed, but it is part of her life, and since they're telling her story, I think that obviously they put it in. I do like how it does give a lot of personality to the three friends of Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, and Taraji P. Henson, and kind of getting to see them outside of work. I do think I really like that. I just don't necessarily care about that romance at all. And then you have Octavia Spencer, who plays Dorothy Vaughan in this film, and she's kind of the unofficial supervisor of the colored women computers. And they're refusing to give her that actual promotion to supervisor because she's doing all the work, but they don't think that she should be a supervisor, or that there should necessarily be a supervisor down there. So she takes it in her hand when they finally get that supercomputer thing, which would basically take away all of the jobs of the computers, both black and white. She decides to go in there, learn how to program it, study this sort of code that these guys cannot figure out how to use this thing. And so she's basically the only one that can operate this giant machine, and she teaches all of the computer women that she is supervising, and they have the jobs. They have 30 people that can run this machine, and that's what they need. And Octavia Spencer has some great scenes with Kirsten Dunst's character, who is sort of her opposite on the white woman side. She's the supervisor over there, and she kind of oversees also the colored women section of being a computer, and she has to go down there quite a bit. And I think my favorite scene is when they're in the restrooms together, and Kirsten Dunst comes out, and she has this line where she's like, I really have nothing against your type of people, and Octavia Spencer just goes, I know, I believe that you believe that. And she knows that she's wrong. She has all of these prejudices about it. And Octavia Spencer is just sitting there as Dorothy Vaughan, and she's being the bigger person, and she's learning how to basically further her and all of her women's careers to make them throwawayable. That makes zero sense. Basically means that they can't be terminated because they're the only ones that can run a very, very important machine. And then you have Janelle Monáe, who plays Mary Jackson in this, who is a computer who wants to be an engineer. And she has, she's gone to college, she's got all of these prereqs that you would need. And then as soon as she decides that she wants to apply to be a real engineer with the help of the people that are building the space rocket thing that gets thrown into space, she basically gets told that she has to take all of these extra courses, and the only course that she needs to take is this one that's only available in a white-only school, and so she has to go to a judge, and she has to get cleared to go to these night classes with a whole bunch of white guys, and she's the only black woman that is allowed in the school. And she has this great moment with the judge, and kind of she learned about this judge. She went up, she's like, you're the first, and blah, 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 and she makes this great speech about how she wants to be the first, and how he can be the first to help her be the first. And I think that was very, very smart to turn that on him like that. And she was also a bit of the quieter one of the three women. I think that's obviously on purpose too, because this is Janelle Monáe. I don't think she's ever really acted before this. And I was really impressed with her, to be honest. I honestly was. And I will say I did like her side of her personal story with her husband, how her husband was maybe taking her aback a little bit, and he, and questioning her wanting to do this, and then by the end of it, he's like, I'm not holding you back, I'm gonna support you no matter what. I really, really appreciated that, because I feel like in these types of movies, especially when you see women who want to be more than what society wants them to be, there's always something where the husband doesn't want doesn't want them to go out of their comfort zone. Like, look at Freedom Writers. Freedom Writers is a great example of, Hillary Swank as a teacher who's going above and beyond with these kids, and then it ruins up her relationship with her husband, played by Patrick Dempsey, who's like, why are you doing all of this stuff? Like, why are you being such a good teacher type of thing? Like, it's so crazy. And that's a lot that happens with these movies when women want to become more than what society allows them to be. And I'm really glad that this movie, and hopefully in real life, I don't know how true this is to real life, I'm assuming pretty decently, I would think, I really, really like that they don't go to that place of having to ruin relationships because they want to be more than what they are now. One thing I also will say is this movie does question what we learn in school. The fact that we have not even really been taught any of this is a little like, it's puts like a distaste in my mouth for school. The fact that it does, obviously, our history is so one-sided. It's like that stupid thing. It's Black History Month right now, and the next person I say, well, what about White History Month? I'm gonna fucking slap in their face because that's such a dumb thing to say. The entire year is White History Year. Like, they can have a month. They should have more than a month with all of the stuff that they've had to be put through because we're terrible people. like. Okay, I digress. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of alt-writers that decide to go right down in the comments and, call me a bitch and say that I shouldn't be talking politics on my channel. But you know what? It's my channel. You guys don't have to be here if you don't want to. So, fuck you. Also, I'd like to apologize to my mom. She does not like it when I make crude gestures or cuss. So I am sorry, Mother. I will try to hold it back in, but I couldn't do it this time. Sorry. But seriously, I would recommend this movie to everybody. I think this is a feel-good movie. Would also kind of tears your heart out at times. Like, I was crying, but I felt so good at the end of this, and I was just like, yeah, you stuck it to the man. I love these women, and I'm really happy with how their lives turned out. And at the end, when we learned like where they went and they were so successful in their careers, like that was amazing to see that, and they weren't held back as, they probably had a lot more things that they had to overcome, but the fact that they got to where they are is awesome. I think that this type of stuff should be taught more in school. Just gonna say that. Okay, I hope you guys like this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, please be nice in there. Also, I feel like, everyone likes this movie, right? Like, tell me how much you like this movie. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday. It's all Oscar season, so I'm hopefully going to be able to see some stuff like Get Out, Dunkirk, I, Tonya, Phantom Thread. We'll get there. I'll see La La Land and Moonlight eventually too. Okay, bye.